visit www.churchofmaborsradio.com. That's www.churchofmaborsradio.com.
Tune in to The Mind Cemetery with your hosts Chip and Nicole every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. We delve into UFOs, abductions, ghosts, aliens, conspiracies, and cryptozoology.
And how could you ever forget about those creepy topics you won't hear on your local news?
This is where I would insert my obligatory skeptical statement. The Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest.
Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on Facebook. Also check us out on our website, mindcemetery.com, for show updates and the critically acclaimed Mind Cemetery blog.
It's not critically acclaimed, but you should check it out anyway, mindcemetery.com.
Hello, this is Angela Thomas with a message about living life to the fullest. As a psychic clairvoyant, I often give insights to one's career path, financial situation, or relationship. Whether one is happy or not in their current situation, where he or she is right now is an important part of learning valuable lessons that can lead to fulfilling one's life purpose. If I can offer you insights, feel free to contact me at 636-278-2272, again 636-278-2272, or visit my website, angelathomas.org. I'm considered a psychic, so I provide accurate and detailed psychic readings for individuals as well as groups. Remember, no matter what influences your life at the moment, live life to the fullest. Stay in gratitude, count your blessings, and prepare yourself for more opportunities around the corner. I'm Psychic Angela Thomas, and my website is angelathomas.org.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Benetti, and along with Joe Montaldo, we co-host a new show called News on the Flip Side. You can catch us every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central, where we will be discussing current events and topics going on in the world today. We have opinions on everything. There's no topic that we won't discuss, and we'll go places that other shows wouldn't dare. False history gets made all day, every day. The truth of the new is never on the news, but you can catch it here, News on the Flip Side, only on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network.
You are listening to UPRN 107.9 New Orleans.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment I said, okay.
Was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Serious stuff. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Joe Montaldo Show. Sorry I've been on vacation there for 3 or 4 weeks. Actually, I think it's been 4 weeks now, huh? That's got to be a record for me. I mean, my first 5 years in radio, I don't think I missed a show. But anyway, a lot of work going on. We've been really, really busy. I had a lot of contracts to get pushed out, so we got all of that done. And then I got the flu, so I went to the doctor to see, and somebody put me in the hospital for 10 days. No food, no water, no nothing. 10 days. I lost 12 pounds, but I got to say it was not a pleasant experience. But everything's good. He gave me the all clear to go to light duty today, and he said next week I can go back to my regular job. So that's all good to go, and all that fun stuff is out of the way now. I got to say, though, if they ever want to put an NT tube in, you tell them, hell no. Run as fast as you can for as long as you can, and run, run, run. But anyway, getting back to what we're here for tonight, we're going to probably be doing an hour tonight because I am still on kind of limited duty. But the thing about it is I've been getting a lot of requests for non-abduction type contacts. It's interesting in itself, a non-abduction type contact. I mean, that infers that there's some kind of cooperation, like E.T.'s calling and saying, hey, Bob, I'm going to come by about 7 p.m. and I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to fly down to the Jersey Shore and have some lobster down at the casino, and then we're going to fly out past Venus, take a look around, maybe over Pleasure, swing back around Zeta Reticuli and head on home. Okay, well, I got to be honest. You don't get much in the way of contacts like that are believable. There's a lot of New Age contact out there with the Nordax and the Palladians and the Pajorans and a few of the others that are these peace, love, and light contacts. Well, that's fine. I don't believe them, but it's fine because they always tell me the same thing. Well, they're here to save us, help us, and enlighten us. Well, they're doing a piss-poor job of it. Really. They're doing let's be honest, take a look around at the planet right now. If they're here to enlighten us and help us and make things better, they're doing a piss-poor job. And that's the only way you can say it. So, when you hear claims like those, you have to take them with a grain of salt because just by looking at the world around you, that's a load of crap. If what they said was true, the world would be a much happier, much more friendly, much more loving place, and it's not. So on that note, getting back to what we're talking about, there are contacts that I would not consider to be abductions, but it's in a different light. Sometimes you'll hear like one of the graves or reptiles, even one of the humans being taken on board one of the big ships. While they're there, they'll have several contacts with other aliens, with other humans. They're free to move around the ship. They're free to do different things. They're free to participate in certain programs. They're free to use the what you'd call holodecks. They're free to do all of that. So, in that aspect, it's like a second life. It's like they pick them up, they put them on board, whether it's a physical, non-physical, or even just a straight-in interaction between your mind and a hologenerator on board the ship. Regardless what it is, it gives them the ability to have what we would consider non-abduction experiences, where they're interacting with other contactees and other type of aliens and other stuff that goes on, stuff that you won't see on the Earth because they're not allowed here, on board the ships. So you hear about these kind of contacts all the time. These are not bad contacts. These are not horrific contacts. These all seem to be rather, just like meeting new people type situations, where sometimes it'll be involved in some type of training or some type of exercises, some type of learning. A lot of times those aliens will be right in there with you, which makes me think, for the most part, that a lot of these other races that the humans are getting ready, or being allowed to interact with, are races relatively along the same technological level as we are. Because it wouldn't make sense to put us with somebody who was way more advanced. They would be bored, and it'd just be how it would be. So it seems to be that these races are actually races like our own, just not from here, but like our own, that they're allowing us to interact with. Maybe it's to help everybody understand that we're not alone and not everybody's out to kill us, and there can be some type of peaceful coexistence if everyone's willing to have it. Not to say that they're not, there's not abductions that are pretty rough and pretty horrific. There are, but there's ones that are not. And then there's hands-off abductions and stuff like that, which we'll touch on a little bit as well. But the thing about it is these type of experiences, just to put one in perspective, a group of contactees I was talking with just the other day, it was about 3 weeks ago before all this stuff went down. We were having a discussion on some of the stuff they do on board the ships. One of the things they were talking about was training exercises, a form of space rescue type of exercise, where they were training in simulated areas, I guess, in holodecks and stuff, to be training to rescue craft, to pull in craft, to rescue other type of aliens, bring them on board the ship, stuff like that. Just as a group. And now that group was also interacting with another alien group. So here you've got like 2 groups or 3 groups all interacting, working on the same programs, learning basically the same skills and skill sets. Now all of this stuff is very advanced when they're talking about it. Because they're learning like small craft propulsion and things like that, and what the limitations of the suits and all that they use are, and things along those lines. So So it allows for a much greater interaction than we really talk about inside the field. To be honest with you, most abduction groups, it's all about shock value, shock and awe. It's either peace, love, and light or ah, but there's no real in between except for us. And it's really pretty much how it is today. The peace, love, and lighters are easy. They can't defend themselves because all you have to do is look at the planet. Oh, well, they're saving us, and they love us, and they're kind and sweet. Really? Have you looked? Are you living on the same planet I'm living on? Really? So, you have to take that with a grain of salt. Maybe on their home world, that's how it is. I'm not saying it's not. I haven't been there, so I don't know. But judging from what we know about the 3 races that are visiting the planet, which we know a lot about these days, this isn't about peace, love, and light. It even really isn't about us. It's more about them. It's really what it comes down to. It's more about them than it is about us. But even though we're going to be incorporated in this and put into this, this is like early training to join a galactic community if we make it that far. And I tell this to people all the time, don't think if Russia launches 30 nukes tomorrow that ET is going to interfere. They've never done it in the past. They didn't interfere when we blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima. They didn't interfere 2 years ago when the tsunami wiped out half of Japan. They don't do that. So they're not going to interfere if we go to a nuclear war. Peace, love, and light all you want. Actions speak louder than words, and so far their actions speak nothing because they've done nothing. So you have to keep that in mind. But I don't want to take away from what we're talking about, because what we're talking about is interaction on board the ships and interactions with other contactees and other types of aliens and even aliens. Like with the reptilians a lot of times, not the alphas, but the ones probably 2 steps down, they a lot of times will entertain humans. And what I mean by that is they'll take you around and show you this, or help you understand this, or help you work with this computer, or maybe or what we like to call the underwater libraries, which they're not all underwater, but they just like to call them that because they're in a dome. Show you how to work it, how to access it, and things along those lines. They seem to want to encourage humans to move forward. But if you judge the species, the 3 main species, by their action, they're definitely not peace, love, and light. I mean, frankly, all of them abduct people. So when you take someone against your will, it kind of takes you out of the peace, love, and light category right off the bat. Check away. Whether it's for our good, their good, whoever's good, it's still an abduction. And an abduction is an abduction. So we always have to take that in consideration. Now, for the people tell me, well, we signed a contract ahead of time. Maybe you did, but frankly, that sounds like a bunch of hogwash that you can't prove. There's nothing to support or to back it up. And really, I think it's a bunch of hogwash. So you chose in another life, while you were talking to an alien, you said, hey, look, when I die and come back, you can go ahead and abduct me. Well, I got a little surprise for you. Contactees, real contactees, the ones that aliens are really interested in, they tend to take their souls at the moment of death and put them in what we like to call host bodies, ship them off somewhere else. So if you're being reincarnated, then you must not be worth taking. That's all I'm saying. Take it for what it is, but it's there's a lot of research to back up what I'm saying. So, if you're giving them permission in another life, then apparently you're not quite what they were looking for, or they would have took you. I'm just saying, guys. Don't hate the messenger. But, if you've heard Jim Sparks, I know a lot of y'all are familiar with Jim Sparks. If you've heard Jim Sparks speak about some of the types of contacts that he's had, like training for this or training for that, a lot of times there's other people involved and things along those lines. A lot of this stuff goes on board these ships a lot. Most of the humans that are being taken that we consider to be contactees, not abductees, are in some type of program. They're somehow or another functionally working with the extraterrestrials on some level. And, when you hear the descriptions of these ships, these interiors of these ships, and the things that they can do and how the walls can generate what you want, and give me a bed, and out comes a bed, make a table, washroom, whatever. It's phenomenal stuff. And I can see why those contactees wouldn't want to come back. But by saying that, a lot of these contactees, these same ones we're talking about early, started out as abductees, having miserable times, having to break through all of this and working their way up, to realize that there's something more than just the pain of the initial contact. We're pretty sure between puberty and maybe your late 20s, that's when the aliens, all the races, do whatever they're going to do, what we would consider psychological torment or physical torment or whatever, milking machines, whatever you want to do, seems to be in that area. After that, the contact changes dramatically. And you can become a much bigger part of what goes on. You can be involved more in your own experiences. You can be involved in other people's experiences, other aliens' experiences. You can really take it to the next level if you want to. And the fact of, with the host bodies, or even what we like to call the on-board storage on board the ships, you can actually learn a lot more. It's one of the reasons contactees sometimes feel hollow when they come home, because when they're on board the ships, it's like it's like a telepathic link to their computer system. It's Wi-Fi through the brain is basically what it is. You're Wi-Fi directly into their computer, so you're learning and understanding, and you can use the computer as backup storage for your brain. Stuff that you're not going to be able to keep in your brain or understand later on is actually stored there, so next time you link up, it's there and you understand it again. It's an interesting way of doing things. I mean, we do it now with hard drives, attachable hard drives for our computers, but not for our mind, because frankly, in our little world, we don't have enough knowledge to really expand our minds to those levels. But of course, in their world, that's a bit different. Their knowledge is quite a bit broader than ours, and does expand it. And I think it's more, though. I think they keep it more there to keep the contactees safe. Think about it if you came home with the knowledge to build an anti-gravity craft. Not faster than light or anything, just an anti-gravity craft. It would change the world. It would change everything. And, of course, you would be an overnight billionaire. I'm not thinking they're really feeling that too much. So I don't think they want those kind of technologies slipping out. And even so, though, by saying that, I mean, I hear our government all the time working on fission drives and all kind of other stuff that we're working on. Speaking of that, I was watching a swarm. The U.S. Navy and the U.S. Marines have got these drones. They launch out of a missile and they swarm targets. They're badass, guys. I'm just telling you, they're badass. They call them swarmers, but the things we think of these days. But what I mean by that is, I remember when Boeing and NASA was in 2001, 2002. Talked about they were working on their first gravity or magnetic drive. Magnetic drives are interesting. Gravity drives are interesting. I haven't seen one yet that works, but hey, we're out there. The new reactors that Boeing's working on will one day change the world. I mean, guys, we're going to get away from one form of power and go to a next one. So I got to say, I like that idea as well. From fission to fusion. I'm just waiting for the change. That way you'll be able to power your own car, your own home. There'll no more be. We won't need. What we won't need anymore? Power companies. That's right. We won't need power companies anymore. Right now, you can get a hydrogen reactor, a car that runs on hydrogen, and you can run your whole house off the damn car if you wanted to. You can actually set up a little thing in your yard that makes hydrogen as well. So you can make your whole house and your car totally self-contained and don't have to use the system at all. Now, California is developing the hydrogen highway so that you can fuel and all, but still, it's the technology we're moving forward to, like the fission diffusion we're moving forward to. These are self-contained things. So you're not going to need wires. Think about all the wires that will go away. The Wi-Fi will all go wireless, and everything else will be, encased in-house power supply. Your car will be a fusion reactor, your house will be a fusion reactor, nobody will have to worry about it. It's all cold fusion. It won't produce any radiation. It doesn't even produce anything. There's no anything to it. So, here we go, around the world. America can become totally self-sufficient, won't need any type of fossil fuels. Do you know how fast you could push a jet with a fusion reactor on board? One about, say, the size of a coffee can? The one that Boeing's talking about having ready in 10 years is one about the size of an 18-wheeler. Now, this is funny. When Boeing talked about this, you can find the article online. It's not hard to find. When Boeing talked about this, they said that it works. It's reproduced itself several times now, so it works. They just don't quite understand how it works. So, it's so nice to hear these big tech companies say stuff like that. It was funny, though. The fact that they even admitted to it was funny. Darren, to answer your question, basically, what we're talking about here tonight is the types of experiences that you have that are not forced experiences, where that you're not ripped out of your house or drug up in a spacecraft and probed with this or tortured with that or rain, peace, love, and light while you're being held down to worship some white blob thing. These are experiences that are totally interactive, when you're working with other aliens or other humans or other types of aliens along the same evolutionary lines. Evolutionary is not the right word because they may not look like us, but along the same technological lines, the same understanding of the universe, basically. I find those interesting because for a long time, everybody kept telling me the black-eyed children, they're hybrids, they're hybrids, they're hybrids. No, they're not. They're not on the Earth. They're on the ship. No one sees them on the planet. I've hypnotized several people about this, and when you get them on the hypnosis, it's on the ship. It's not down here. And not to say that there's not hybrids. There is, but I don't think that's what they were. There's a race out there that looks kind of human, not quite human, but looks kind of human. But they got these little round black eyes. They look like the eyes from the guy in the new Star Trek. You seen the little midget dude in the Star Trek, the little alien, those kind of black eyes? They kind of look like that. They're kind of beady black. But about the same size as eyes. They're not overly big or anything. They're just black. Don't know why. I'm sure there's a logical explanation from wherever they come from. Maybe they got a white sun and they need the filter. There's a lot of reasons it could be like that. Everybody says, oh, it's because they had no sun. No, actually, if it's dark, I would think because the sun was really, really bright, they needed a darker lens color to filter out some of the radiation and some of the other light. So I would think they would come from a high-light planet, not a low-light planet. Might also explain some of the skin colors. But still, it's all speculation. But it's listening to the contactees talk about these experiences. Look, this is just a boring, I'm going to tell you, this is just a boring experience. The other day I'm talking to a lady. I was actually talking to 3 different people, but we were on a Skype conference, and they were talking about experience they had on board the ship. And what's funny, a lot of times you get these groups, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, and they have a common shared experience, which is phenomenal. They remember it in the first damn place. But put this in perspective, the other day she said they brought on board the craft. They gave her usual checkup, and then they cut her loose, and she went to some 2 courses that she told me about, but I'm not going to get into. And then she said she went to go meet, there's a common, I guess like a cafeteria, dine and rec kind of area, and she said she went there and she caught up with some of the people she knew there, and they were sitting down having something to eat, talking, and playing some kind of, I guess it's a telepathic version of chess. That's the closest description I can give to it. Maybe like a telepathic hologram 3-dimensional chessboard. It's hard to explain, but anyway, they were just talking. I mean, just so friendly, like if you went and had dinner with your friends, or y'all went out to have coffee at a coffee house or something like that. It's really no different. I mean, these people have strong bonds. And we realized early on that some of the contactees had strong bonds with people they didn't know, because when we would attend conferences, we, of course, always invite people to come see us at the conferences. When these people would meet, I mean, it was profound. It was profound. They knew each other. I mean, they were like long-lost brothers and sisters and cousins and lovers and you name it. It was crazy. It still is anytime we attend. I just don't attend as many conferences as I used to, because most of them put me to sleep these days. And I got to be honest with you, I only ever went to the conferences for the people anyway. I was never really interested in the people speaking. Because, most of them I know, and if there is something I want to know, I just invite them on a show and ask them about it. So conferences weren't as important to me. I think they're important to have for everybody, but for me it was just more about just getting to meet everyday ICAR members, the friends of the network, other contactees, other groups that are working on stuff like that. Speaking of that, it was brought to my attention recently that there's 2 or 3 contactee groups that are out there right now that are less than equitable, is what I was told. So I've gotten some letters in the last 2 weeks, about 10 of them, but I haven't really had time to look at them because I was in a hospital. So when I get some time this weekend and I'm kind of chilled out, I'm going to go through the letters and see exactly who they're talking about and what they're talking about, and then we'll investigate it, and then if we find anything along those lines, we'll come back here and talk about it. Most of the abduction groups I know about are pretty equitable. I mean, they're pretty upstanding. I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but there's 4 or 5 that I know I know the people who run it pretty well, and I know what their goals are and where they're going. So, in those cases, I think they are. But Philip, do we endorse? Really, ICAR doesn't. We don't really endorse anybody. It's for us. It's a political thing. Being the largest UFO abduction organization in the world, it's a political thing. It's just not good business. It's the only way I can say it. I mean, there are some really good groups out there, and I bring them on the station and let them plug themselves and let them talk all the time. So that's the same thing as us endorsing them. But a public endorsement, if we're not members or involved with them in some kind of joint operation, no. Because all that does is piss other people off and make my life miserable. So we quit doing that a long time ago. It's just politically it's better for me. How's that? It just makes my life easier. But if we do find out our organization is not on the up and up, or they're full of BS, or they're doing something along those lines, we will take them to task. It wouldn't be the first time that we've done it. Probably won't be the last time. But it's really not what this is about. I was thinking a few minutes ago before I got on that little rant there. One of our groups out of Brazil, we have about 5,500 members in Brazil, and it's funny because I was talking to, and this is tough because some of them speak good English, a lot of them don't, and a lot of times we're using translators. And you know how translators don't always get every word, or sometimes words come out, you're like, huh? So it makes it tougher, but long story short, I was talking about, it was about 7 of them the other day, 8 of them, and we were going back and forth on Facebook, on text chat, and we were discussing a particular incident with them and 3 Americans when they were taken on board, they were taken on board a reptilian ship but brought to an underwater base somewhere. All they said was the water was really, really blue, and it was warm to touch. I'm not sure how they were touching the water, but it was warm to touch. So I'm assuming maybe Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, somewhere warm, but it could be anywhere really, let's be honest. Planet's a big place with lots of warm water on, so it could have been anywhere, but they said while they were there, they were all being taught how to use the Observer Library, it's a big dome room, and it has, in the centerpiece, it has a pedestal that raises up with what looks to be like a big crystal that you can either touch, or if you're strong enough telepathically, you can work it that way. What's interesting about it is one person can work it, and the whole dome will reflect what that person's doing. If there's multiple people there, it will actually divide up. For each person that touches it, mind or physical, it creates a box on the wall. So if there's two people, they would split the dome half and half, and this side would be what he was doing. But so on and so forth. The more people there, the smaller boxes get, but the more information being displayed. Well, they were being shown how to use it and how to understand where it's going to be and what is pertinent to what they're looking for and things like that. And it's very interesting to listen to them talk about this, because it's like listening to them learn how to put a TV together or really to do any task. It's just like any straightforward type of training, and they seem to be quite happy about it, and it's very pleasant, and everyone's talking, and the reptilians are supposedly very pleasant about it, and everything's being in a telepathic form, even though they say sometimes they hear the every now and then they say when a Grey is present, the reptilians make like a clicking sound that they've heard the Greys say. Now, I have heard some people under hypnosis say that the Greys make a clicking sound like a dolphin. We tried the Star Trek thing where we were trying to overlay water. It does sound a lot like a dolphin, but it could be any damn thing. Of course, dolphins are gray, Greys are Greys. Well, Greys aren't really Greys, but still. I could see why some people, want to take off that, and they got the big eyes and all. Why some people might want to think that the Greys are related to the dolphins or vice versa. Anything is possible in the universe. Probably not, but the dolphins are probably just another intelligent species, and the Greys and the reptilians didn't recognize them for what they are, just another intelligent species. To what evolutionary point, I have no idea, but they are much older than we are. So, 200 million years older than we are? 220 million years old? No, about 180. Somewhere I'd have to go look to be sure. I thought it was like 220 or something. But still, they seem to be in contact with them. Now, we've had lots of cases over the years where the reptilians have been, not the reptilians, where the dolphins are being sighted with the Greys, underneath craft, or where Greys are along shorelines and stuff like that. Dolphins tend to run. I'll tell you this, in Pensacola, Navarre, Panama City, Fort Walton Beach, we don't talk about this much, but most people will tell you when they start to see the dolphins running up and down the beach, they start looking for weird stuff to happen. They say it's like a prelude to something that's coming. I personally believe that I've had some weird stuff happen to me down there in Florida, and there's been dolphins associated with a lot of times. One of the craziest experiences we ever had down there, my wife was in the water, the dolphins were running between her feet, knocking her over and shit. It's the first time I ever seen it. It was really, really weird. Very strange, very spooky experience. A lot went into that, but I know. I want to talk about the handoff experience a little bit too, but before we get there, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit, because it's hard to make people understand this, especially contactees. Well, abductees, I should say. Abductees are, for the first time they're learning that they got experiences going on in their life. They really don't understand that there's other stuff that's going to come in that's not going to be bad. It's not really harmful. In most cases, it's going to be pleasant, or at least friendly-like. It's hard because a lot of the alien abduction stuff is really hard and really tough. I don't want to sugarcoat it, because for a lot of contactees, in the beginning, it's going to be hard as hell. I'm not going to lie to you. But if you can make it through the puberty stage, the 20 stage, there's a lot more that you can learn, you can understand, become part of. To what extent, that's entirely up to the aliens, but and I guess really up to you. I think it really has more to do with what each individual can handle. I don't really think they have a problem with letting you know everything that you can handle. I doubt any of us can fully understand what their alien agendas are, because it's frankly probably beyond our current level of understanding, but they seem to be in this for a long game. They're not like just popped up yesterday. It's been going on for a long time. The human and reptilians are recorded since the start of man. The Sumerians and the Egyptians record both of them. Not the Greys, by the way. Greys didn't come to about 2,000 years later, 3,000 years later, but we're guesstimating sometime around Christ, right before or right after. But the reptilians and humans have been
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
If you are listening to the show and wish to join us in the chat room, visit paltalk.com. Go to the social issues, select other, and enter the UFO Paranormal Radio Network.
Breaking news. Strange black pyramid UFO ships over every major city on the Earth. People are exhilarated and scared. Reptilian strange creatures are beaming down. My God, they're beaming me up with them. Don't put that probe there. Don't put that probe there. Don't put Listen to the Church of Mabus radio show at 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday nights with host Jeffrey Pritchett, bringing you the high strange. Visit www.churchofmabusradio.com. That's www.churchofmabusradio.com.
Tune in to the Mind Cemetery with your hosts Chip and Nicole every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time.
Yes, I did. I had a damn pistol in my hand, and I was going to put a 9mm up Mr. Gray's ass. That's all I can say. But they didn't cooperate, and I put the gun down, and life went on from there. That's an interesting experience. That whole what that song is about was a very, very strange experience, a very strange night. We've had a lot of weird stuff happen out there at Honey Island. There's a lot of weird stuff happen down in Navarre. You know, it's been fortunate for me. There's a lot of times we've had witnesses with us. Very few contactees, even fewer UFO investigators can say that. And we've had group sightings on more than one occasion. Hell, more than a dozen occasions. It's been an interesting 30 years in ufology, I have to say. It's definitely been an interesting walk on the crazy side. Some of the stuff we were talking about, I seen somebody was posting Billy Myers while we were going out there, while we were fixing a little audio glitch there. Billy, what about Billy, guys? Billy's a whack-a-nut. Billy thinks he's Jesus and Muhammad, and he thinks he was every savior there ever was, plus some that are coming in the future. That's who Billy Myers thinks he is. He thinks the aliens put him here for that purpose. Not sure what he's here this time for. I'm not sure what role he was playing this time. But listen to his stuff. A friend of mine the other day said, well, we had him in the chat room talking. I'm like, really? The man don't speak English. Not a lick English. Not even a lick. You want to talk about him, contact Michael Horn. He probably is the best versed in Billy Myers. I'm not a big Billy Myers fan. I do think Billy did have contact. I really do. I just think he let it go to his head. I think sometimes contactees miss the excitement. But I already proved him wrong. What are you talking about? I already proved half his work was hoaxed. Yeah, it was not that hard of a thing to do, Kevin. Sorry, bud. We did that a long time ago. It was easy, man. It was an easy case to figure. A couple of the photos we actually had DreamWorks take a look at. Some of the photos are very legit. About half of Billy Myers' photos are legit. The problem is the other half aren't. They're absolutely and totally faked and totally hoaxed. What's happened with Billy Myers is what happens with a lot of contactees. They start to miss the limelight. They initially come out about their experience, they show all their information, and then they start to wane. So if there's nothing else going on, they make stuff up. And that's really what happened to Billy Myers. It's not that he's not a contactee, he's a legit contactee. He definitely was contacted. And he does have some good photos. It's just he's not the Messiah. He's not Jesus Christ. I mean, you can look at him and tell he's not Jesus Christ. He possesses none of those type of abilities. He's not any more enlightened than anyone else on the planet, but he claims to be. Anytime you make everything about you, it's a good chance that you're not telling the truth. It's really what it comes down to. Really, when you make everything come about you, you're generally not. But Billy Myers is Billy Myers, and he'll go along with himself. And actually, he did. Sorry, Kevin, he did. He said he named off 6 of them. So Kevin, he named off, Muhammad, Kindar, Jesus, what was the one from Istanbul? He named off 6 different messiahs. And you can go listen to the tape for yourself. It's available in one of our archives. We don't have to BS anybody. There's no reason to BS anybody. It's all easy to know. Billy was just a contactee that basically started to believe his own press. That's really what it came down to. It's a shame, but he's not the only one. Betty Hill was like that. I don't even think Betty Hill was a contactee. I think Barney was, but Betty did the same thing. She just started to believe the press. You can't do that. You have to keep the experience for what the experience is, or are, I should say. And in their cases, they didn't. They just kept exaggerating and piling on, and exaggerate and pile on, and exaggerate and pile on. The reason I quit interviewing Michael Horn is in the last 2 interviews we did about Billy Myers, he was reading Billy Myers' memoirs, and he was talking about how he was going to come back as a next great world leader. He was going to be Slash Messiah and a guy who unites the planet all at one time. I'm not seeing that happen. I don't see it happening in somebody's next lifetime either. You can't make statements like that. You just can't. And he's actually made bolder statements than that. I'm actually sugarcoating it tonight. He's actually made way, way, way bolder statements than that. So, nice guy, definitely a contactee, but like most contactees, most of what's in his head is just BS. Just filler stuff. Stuff to keep himself sane, I guess, might be a better way of looking at it, but it happens. It happens to a lot of contactees. You can't let yourself get involved in the limelight other than the fact that you're trying to get the truth out. If you take it to more than that, then you will embellish and you will exaggerate and you will change the story. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it over the last 3 decades. From a lot of people I wouldn't even expect to see it, to be honest with you. It's just, people don't want to be forgotten. They want to remember. Fortunately for me, I've had enough crazy-ass experiences. I ain't got to change none of them bitches. They're crazy, and almost all of them, there was multiple witnesses. And that's really the thing. In all of Billy Myers' time, not one time did E.T. let him bring somebody with him. But yet they'll let me, and he's the Messiah, but they'll let me bring somebody. Yeah, you got to kind of question that one. I'm just saying, you got to kind of question that one. Anyway, moving on. I don't want to upset anybody. Moving on. Y'all like Billy. He's a cool guy. Moving on. We've been talking on and off about handoff experiences, and I know we're getting close on time here, but a handoff experience generally is a long-term abduction, usually 3 or more days. So sometimes it might be months, but what it is it's when the Greys, or one of the races, usually the Greys, they pick you up, they do a whole realm of whatever, but then instead of dropping you off, they hand you off to the government. And the government's in charge of putting you back. Or sometimes the government will pick you up and hand you over to the Greys. But we call them handoff experiences because that's how they happen. Generally it's the other way around. Generally the Greys are there when you happen. Sometimes the military will be there with them. But when they put it back, it's usually the government. I don't know exactly why. A lot of people seem to think it's so that they can look you over real good and check out what they've been doing. It's part of whatever deal they have with them that occasionally they get to put people back. The first case I know of, the handoff, would probably be Travis Walton. He was picked up by aliens and put back by the military. from what I've heard from his own words and the types of the hangars and stuff he talked to, the humans in the hangars and the CDC suits, that's what it sounds like. So that's really a handoff experience. Any time that the aliens take you and the government puts you back is a handoff experience. There's a lot of them, but for some reason they tend to be longer abductions. Like I said, 3 or more days. Matter of fact, the shortest one I know of is I think 5 days. A lot of them are 7 days, 10, 12, 15, 30 days. They just seem to be gone a long time, and then they're put back. But what's funny about these people is there's none of that covering up time. However long they're gone, they're gone. That's another way you can tell it's a handoff experience, because the aliens would put you back. They would do that little timey thing they do. But the government doesn't have that ability. So however long they keep you after the aliens take you is how long you're missing. I mean, we've had cases, I know 30 days, where the husband or wife or sometimes both were missing for 30 days and then just wake up at home with no recall or anything for the last 30 days. Those have got to be incredibly strange experiences, because you know there was something going on. You were gone for 30 days. I mean, you got cops looking for you, people looking for you. Those kind of experiences are crazy, and it's hard to get anybody to talk about those publicly because, well, you know, they're very intrusive. They leave you feeling definitely violated, much more than a regular abduction. It's just, you know you've been got at least twice. Once by the aliens, once by the government. And you really don't even know why or what even the value of it for anybody was. But you know what happened because of how long you were gone. It's a strange thing. A lot of these cases, though, I notice, they take, like, the husband and the wife. If there's a kid, a lot of times they'll take the kid. Not always, though. Sometimes they'll just take the one or the two, then leave everybody else wondering. But a lot of times it is like I hate to say a family abduction, but it's more along those lines of the immediate family gets taken. But still, it's not written in blood. There are just single people that get taken on those handoff experiences, such as Travis we were talking about earlier. So these kind of abductions are really scary. We don't talk about this much. I'm going to make an effort this year to talk about this a little bit more, really get into what really goes on inside of one of these experiences. Matter of fact, you know what? If I'm feeling better next week, maybe we'll do the whole show on this type of experience, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I mean, first, the Greys come and take you, or whatever race takes you. They do their whole host of experiments. They drop you off to some guys that look like they're in CDC outfits. They usually bring you to some underground facility somewhere, or some facility along those lines, where they start all kind of scanning and probing and scratching and sniffing and everything else, and putting you through this rigor and that rigor, or this experiment or that experiment to see, you know, what's happened to you. I know there's a lot of psychic overlaying and stuff like that to see if they can gain access to memories and things along those lines. So there tends to be a lot of stuff in there. And then sometimes I think the reprogramming takes some time. I don't think they can do it in just one day. At least I don't think the government can. It may take them 3, 4, 5, 6 days sometimes to program you enough that you're not asking, what the hell just happened to me? Or who the hell just happened to me might be a better way of looking at it. These are really rough experiences. I know when we do regression of these experiences, there's a lot of harsh stuff in it. It's not always all bad. It's just, it's the government. And they seem to be less friendly than the aliens when they're dealing with you. You know, pushing you around, shoving you around, do this, do that. Typical experiments, different types of experiments. They take a lot of samples of all kind of stuff. So it does seem to be that in these cases the government has a keen interest. But by saying this, there's not that many of these cases. A few hundred maybe scattered around. There's just not that many of them. So I really think it's like a control group for the aliens. They'll say, okay, you can take such and such and such and such from lot A1Z from here, and you can take these people from lot B5 here, and you can check them all out to see what we're doing. Why? I'm sure our government couldn't understand what the aliens were doing in the first place, but it does seem to be one of the things that they do. It really does. So those are hands-off experiences. like I said, the abduction is bad enough. Well, not always, but the abduction is the abduction, and then the handoff experiences. Like for women, it's probably a little bit more intrusive than it is. I don't know. It's pretty intrusive for men too. But there was a room in one of and I can't tell you how many times I've heard about this room and this red-headed doctor in his green scrubs. There's a room somewhere with tile floors and tile walls. It has a stainless steel thing in the center that's attached to the floor and the ceiling, and it has 8 chairs in it set up with stirrups on each chair, so that you can put 8 women in there and set them up like they have an exam. So I've heard it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard about this room. I can't tell you how many times women have told me they've seen the fetus in the jar, either being inserted or taken out. It's just weird, creepy, kind of scary kind of stuff. And the red-headed doctor always sounds like a hybrid. Whether he is, or he might just be some tall, really bleached white, red-headed guy somewhere, but for the most part, he sounds like a hybrid. Can't prove it, sheer speculation. But from the many descriptions I've heard of him, he sounds like a hybrid. And what's funny is his hair is not always the same color. He's basically always the same build. Big guy, white skin. And they mean white skin, like white, light though, white on paper. And red hair. Sometimes it's ginger, sometimes it's auburn, sometimes it's like a light cream red, sometimes like a strawberry blonde. I can't tell you how many times I've heard his hair described. What bothers me so much is not the close comparison. It's like when they say, oh, well, strawberry blonde versus dark auburn. I mean, that's entirely 2 different realms of the spectrum there. So, I'm not even sure what the hell that's supposed to be. Maybe it's lighting. Maybe it has something to do with lighting. But anyway, in this particular room, and what's weird about this, well, not weird about this room, but on each end of the room, there's a set of double doors that swing with 2 little a glass panel on each thing. Sounds like a typical hospital room. An older hospital, mind you, but still sounds like that. It's creepy sounding. It sounds like a lot of weird stuff goes on there. A lot of times there'll be people lined up in lines going through different procedures like zombies, just kind of, like going down an assembly line, kind of out of it somewhere. Every now and then you hear somebody scream or holler. Sometimes there'll be aliens present, sometimes they won't. But regardless, most of this at the handoff point has to deal with the government. So I don't know how long ET allows them to keep the contactees. I wouldn't think it was a long period of time, but we don't know. So we don't know if, like, the Greys take you and keep you for 5 or 8 days, then turn you over to government, and then the government's got like 2 days to put you back or 3 days to put you back. So we just don't know. So there's a lot of speculation going on in here. But these handoff experiences are definitely something we need to keep an eye on and really investigate more thoroughly. As far as the stuff that goes on aboard the ship, for me, I find that to be benign, to be just everyday friendly kind of banter and chat and hanging out and learning, just like any other part of life. Just on board that craft instead of here. So that's what I mean when we talk about, non-abduction experiences. Those seem to be, there's love affairs, there's friendships, there's, you name it. It's just like everyday life, just there instead of here. So a lot of camaraderie going on. So those experiences are definitely not hostile. They're definitely not harmful. They leave the contactee feeling good and exhilarated afterwards. So those are really good experiences. As far as, I've seen what you wrote, Jim. Jim Light writes in. Jim Light is a Palladian. That's what it says. I'm just quoting what I'm reading. Jim Light is a Palladian and says that all aliens are here to save us, love us, and keep us kind and show us beauty and understanding. So, but that means no interference is what you're saying, right? I mean, because obviously if they were doing everything that you just told me, well, we wouldn't need Obama, we wouldn't need Putin, we'd be in the perfect world. But last I checked, we was in shit. I mean, Putin's rampaging around the world, people wanting to nuke us, ISIS is crazy. Doesn't sound like a world being run by a peace, love, and light type race. Maybe an anarchist, but not a peace, love, and light type race. If they are out there, and if any of y'all are telling the truth, then you need to get on your aliens' asses and say, step it up, buddy, because you've fallen behind the rest of the crazies. It's just, I hear about all these I love these experiences when people, oh, well, it was this and it was that and it took me to the next level. Okay, it's always them. You heard what it took me to the next level. It showed me this. It showed me that. Okay, well, that's not an alien interested in the world, is it? That's an alien interested in you. Because obviously you're not showing it to anybody, so what the hell? See, I always say this about people and aliens. Actions speak louder than words. If there are peace-loving light aliens out there and there are peace-loving light followers, why aren't y'all practicing what you preach? Why aren't you spreading hope and love to the world? Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's, practice what you preach. That's all I'm saying. It's, if there really are truly aliens out there like that think, then get down here and show us. Show the world that there's advanced, beyond belief aliens that can be peace-loving light. Because frankly, there ain't no humans down here believing it, so they're going to have to step up and show themselves. Well, we're just not going to buy it. We're just going to think it's a bunch of hogwash like everything else and move on from it. Because again, actions speak louder than words. With the Greys, reptilians, and humans, they show you actions. They abduct people. They take this. They do that. They put you back here. They program you for this. Their actions speak louder than words. That's why we know it ain't all friendly. It ain't all about us, because their actions speak a lot. That they do have some respect for us, but not near what we think they should have for us. We need to understand that we are children in the grand schemes of everything. There's no advanced race that's been around, and this is what cracks me up about humans. It just shows you how egotistical a species we really are. That a human on this planet would think someone like an Arcturian, like we'll use it for an example, a race that's 1 billion years more advanced than we are in wisdom and everything, is going to share its consciousness or even try to make us understand what it's an impossibility. It would be like taking a computer and going to the deepest, darkest parts of Africa today and trying to make them understand what it was. It ain't going to happen. Better yet, try to take your little cell phone and go back just 50 years and try to make them understand what it is. Go back 100 years, they'll probably burn you as a witch. This is the real problem here, ladies and gentlemen out there. I know y'all want to think that you're advanced. I know you really think that, but we're a very young species. They're a very old species. There's not going to be much in common other than the starts of our roots. There's not going to be a common. It's like when people tell me, "Oh, I'm on the higher plane with these." No, you're not. There's just no way you could understand what they understand. Some things can only be taught through generations. You're not going to absorb the knowledge of the universe in 5 minutes. It's not going to happen. You're not going to understand it. And remember, absolute power corrupts absolutely unless you work at it. So if all of a sudden you become magnificent, you're going to probably become evil. So I'm just, these people just don't think about some of the stuff they say sometimes. They just go off on whatever, but it's not how it really is. There's no common ground between us and a really advanced species. A species even 500 years more advanced than we are, we would have a hard time understanding. A species 100 million? No way. There's just no common ground. There is no way they could even share souls with it. It would burn us out. We wouldn't even. This is no way for our little limited intellect to comprehend what they know and understand. Just what they put it this way: what a race like that going. Let's say they went to school. What they learned in first grade would be more than the sum of the knowledge of everything on the planet today. Yeah, and we can't even understand everything on our own planet, much less at a race 100 million years more advanced than us. It's just, I get tired of the BS sometimes. We really need to concentrate on who's here, why they're here, and what they're doing here. We don't need to keep blowing smoke like ufology loves to do. Just blow a bunch of smoke up everybody's ass and provide no real truths at all. That's why the field's in such a decadent piece of junk that it is these days. You got a handful of people speaking. Most of the people speaking today have never had an experience. The abductees that get to speak never get to speak at any of the big conferences. So, and the ones that do get the abductees that do get to speak at big conferences are usually not real abductees. They're usually somebody who wrote a book and made some experience of them. So it's just, and that's not all of them, mind you, but there is a lot of them out there like that. A lot of. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here tonight. I want to appreciate everybody for hanging out. As you can hear, my voice is still not 100%, and I still got news on the flip side tomorrow with Stephanie Benetti. We're looking forward to it. It's only an hour or two, but it's giving me time to work my voice back up. You got to remember, guys, I had a tube down my throat for 5 days, so I'm grateful I can speak. Really, I'm grateful I can speak. But anyway, this show will be archived and available in about 15 minutes for anybody who missed it. Sorry we had a little glitch in the middle. Not sure what happened there. But again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And I got to say, thanks for all the nice cards and letters and people who wrote to me and sent me best wishes. Really, it made me feel much better, people. I got to tell you, reading stuff on Facebook made me feel way, way better. Rita, actually, I will talk about that experience. You're talking about the one I posted on Facebook, right? I will talk about that experience next week some. I want to talk a little bit more about the handoff experience next week. Maybe might touch on a few more non-abduction type contacts than we got into tonight. Just laying some foundation work for something upcoming in the future. Hopefully in the near future. Anyway, thanks again, guys and girls. I'm going to get out of here. I want to tell you thanks for tuning in to United Public Radio. I'm your host, Joe Montaldo, on the Joe Montaldo Show. Have some fun. Enjoy your life. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
Well, you got two.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Benetti, and along with Joe Montaldo, we host